This is how we
be annoyed about having such an easy time about things. Might as well make his life a little bit harder. He seems to like that. We go and we find this group of humans who just got expelled from a town, and they're like, we had a prophecy that you motherfuckers would come and help us. We're like, yeah, okay. And there was a sexy emo wizard that Belthor was going to seduce, but that never happened, and I'm still annoyed about it. But we'll get to that. So, this is also about when Trixie learns a little bit of very interesting information. You see, anyone who brings other Shune Belthor, she will marry. Right?
And
Shune's like, oh, I can do that. So we make a fake Belthor. And the fake Belthor is actually Nopapa's astral guardian. And that way there's like communication between the two groups. It's a thing. But currently two groups. This gets convoluted as fuck. So, Trixie convinces Shune that she has Belthor tied up in a bow to go along with her on her dragon with Thud to go back home and like announce the marriage and everything, right? And the Astral Guardian is just looking all betrayed and horrified. But not too horrified because, you know, this isn't surprising. This is Dark Elf bullshit. Meanwhile, as soon as the dragon takes off, because, you know, no one wants to fight a dragon, everyone else goes to Storm City. And we do a pretty good job, a lot of ass, and Belthor gets this close to murdering Tanith. Who's Tanith? Tanith is his older brother, whom he wants to murder because Dark Elves want to murder them. It's just a thing.
Your descriptions are terrible.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
You're so excited to give bad descriptions loudly that you talk over me when you do. I'm just like, you.
Wait, were you trying to talk?
No, not this time. But it does strike me as odd that what you are so desperate to say is this stuff.
I'm just, you know, trying to keep going and keep going.
I mean, yeah, it's really good, and you are doing the job of continuing the stream and continuing the talking, but you seem to be like leaping over things rather than describing them. You're like, well, something happened, it was probably like this, but who cares because this game is done.
See, here's the problem. There are chunks that I just don't remember.
Yeah, me too.
Or I don't remember enough to describe properly.
I wasn't really planning to do this, so I don't seem to have my notes here. I'm going to have to go over them and then add the rest of it to this, which is just as well, because it'll make for better stuff to be able to film it then, have it sort of planned out, read through it while I'm filming instead of having to try to do it live and then edit that into something.
Yeah. Who knows? Maybe next time you can just have Miriam explaining it, and then you can splice that together with recordings of you. And maybe Dan.
Yeah, there's an idea, because Cher spent most of the time explaining this time. Next time we could do it where I'm the one explaining it and Cher is the one who's disengaged.
What? Why would we have to do it again?
Why not?
We don't have to. I'm just saying it's an option.
I enjoy talking.
Alright.
Also, it's important to note that Miriam's just very, very good at continuously talking about the Sedan.
Well, usually. You've barely been around. So you said that there was a prophecy, and you were helping them with a prophecy, and that you almost killed your brother.
I don't remember what the prophecy was.
But I think that you missed.
We were expecting you.
Let me try and tell. I'm going to try to tell you the story of the Second World War. See, in the story of the Second World War, there were a bunch of people from different countries that went to France for some reason. And while they were there, they killed some people, I guess. But then eventually, they wound up in Berlin. The end. And it's like, you see what I mean? Like, what are you even talking about? Who? You haven't mentioned that there's a battle that you are at when this happens. Is my point.
Yeah,
It's true.
I said we stormed the city. We stormed the city. Leonis is blowing things up with his high powers, and
With his high
Nobita is blowing things
powers.
up with their mind powers.
Okay.
Right? Those are both things that are happening. And Belthor is cutting straight through to the end to kick the shit out of Tanith, who is his brother. Belthor has a lot of brothers. We have not determined the exact number, but they're all older than him.
Tanith was
He was child second to last.
in the downstairs of the facility where Shune was supposedly at. On top of that facility was the dragon, which is, I think, the first time that the group. No, because the first time was when you saw the projection of Shune sending people out to look for Belthor. She had the dragon with her then, but this is the first time anybody had seen it in person. Although their position within that building turns out not to be that important because of other things that go on.
Yeah. So, Tanith is specifically the magiest brother, right?
He's one of the mystics, which is to say that he studied the old religious magic that made the Dark Elves the Dark Elves.
Yeah. So, little does Belthor might know more about that than he does at this point, because he went to the Ziggurat. But Belthor's not saying shit about that. Because Tanith doesn't need to know how to become a god. I'm sure he'd figure that out if I told him enough. You know, like you do. And, the thing is, my mind thinks that Belthor's family was incredibly abusive. And Lampay agrees, but we can't agree on the level. And I think that Belthor's family is much worse than Lampay thinks Belthor's family is. But I'm not absolutely positive. So, Belthor is totally down for killing his brother, that's the thing. And I think in subsequent conversations we determined at least one of the things Tanith did was continuously poison Belthor, because Belthor just would not die from poison, and now he's just, experimenting. Giving him more and more poison. Hey, could you move for a second?
What do you want?
Okay, I was just making sure that you could hear me, because...
Well, then why wouldn't you just ask?
What?
Why wouldn't you just ask? It takes forever for the stream to catch up.
Mostly because I'm using a rather large part of my brain on the story.
Anyway.
And logic is not working. Anyway, so, right, so I'm down to Murk Town. So, I just barge in with this archer and a couple flunkies by my side. And he's like, Belthor? And I, put my finger to my lips and I'm like, shh. And then I blast him with acid. And we wreck his team, and I get this close to murdering him, but then I notice that my sneaky archer, Rubazal's wife, who A, is a girl I swore to protect, and B, Rubazal will murder me if she comes to harm. She's missing. So I'm like, okay, I'll come back and murder him as soon as I'm done checking on her. So I go into the next room, and there's Chlor. And he also does the shh thing, and then he knocks me the fuck out and kidnaps me and Frey. So now we're kidnapped. This is important because no one else was finding Chlor. Probably because he was busy kidnapping her. Bastard. So now I'm kidnapped. Everyone's looking for me. It's real complicated. on the front of the carriage. I'm hanging out with Freya. And pretending me and Trixie had this horrible, horrible breakup. Oh, by the way, everyone assumes that me and Trixie are dating because, again, we seduce people compulsively.
Yeah, it just makes sense.
Right? And, also in the carriage are these other two tailors. Now, I don't think we mentioned this before in this particular stream, but tailors work in pairs.
Yes.
Which is probably why Belthor was so down to partnering up with Trixie, because, you know, she's become his tailor partner. That's just a thing. They have this cohesiveness.
They're functional dyad. What are you squawking about?
Sorry, don't mind me.
Anyway, yeah, so they formed a
She's going
dyad.
over her own character. Which, fair, I do that too. Belthor was fantastic. Let's see, so...
I keep trying to hit unmute and it keeps logging me out instead because I suck.
Weird.
So, Belthor and Freya. Freya's not very useful, but she tries. She tries very hard. To, convince these tailors that, yes, I'm having to and also try and gain information from them. Apparently, Clore is also trying to marry Shune, whatever.
This is not something that Freya's good at. She's a scout.
Yeah. And, Belthor also actually, like, talks shop with him and is like, hey, I'm trying to figure out how to make, like, anti-acid clothing that isn't magic. Here's my theories going on about that. And they're like, oh, here's some theories. And we actually do that a bit.
Because remember, he is a tailor. As far as they're concerned, he's one of them.
Yeah. But, you know, tailors betraying each other is just normal.
Yeah. Yeah. That and they're supposed to be on the lookout to try to get him into Shune's hands.
Yeah. So, then, as the two tailors take Freya out to go to the bathroom, there's, like, I think some time freezing stuff. I think Thor does some time freezing stuff. And he comes into the carriage with me, to talk with me personally.
No, it was non-detection.
Ah, is that what it was? Non-detection, okay. And he steps in and he's like, could you do it, Belthor? Could you do it? And Belthor has been preoccupied trying to figure out how to escape, and he's like, well, my plan, I know what my plan was. And he's like, wait, does Clore know my plan? What, you mean make out with you? Yes, of course! Like, and Clore's like, what? No! Kill your sister to summon the dragon! Because, theoretically... And Belthor's response, because, like, it makes sense. Of course, you know, if Belthor killed Shune, he could summon the dragon. That makes sense, but... And he says this out loud, why would I want the dragon? And Clore just... He blue screens, and then he just walks out.
Because that's the most non-Dark Elf thing you could ever possibly say. What do you mean, why would you want the dragon? Why wouldn't you want the dragon?
Who doesn't want dragons?
Exactly.
Well, I don't want that dragon. He's an ass.
Well, he doesn't understand.
That's more, for Clore, that's more of a reason to keep the dragon.
Clore's over there.
You want them to help the dragon. Why wouldn't you enslave the dragon to do it? Makes no sense. But you know, so Clore still doesn't know which side he wants to be on. Because you see, plan A is give Belthor over to Shune and, you know, marry her and become the dragon. And plan B was, if Belthor were to Shune, Belthor is more competent than Shune, and if he happened, then I could be on his side. But Belthor's confused.
Yeah.
to be fair, having a wild card can be useful, but then you have to deal with having a wild card. So, yeah. So, Shune gets back to the Shadow Tower, because we're back at the Shadow Tower again. And, Claude is with their side, and she's like, here, Claude, take this rose and deliver it to so-and-so in my basement. What is it about basements and, like, not being in the same dimension in this world that, hey, are all basements portals to other dimensions?
What are you talking about? What other basement was a portal to another dimension?
Female.
Well, that's true, yeah.
We've been in 2 basements. Well, 3. Technically, there was a third one, and that third one, we just murdered a vampire in there. But,
Warheim Manor also had a basement that you were in. It's where you found one of the sons.
yeah,
one of
but
the
that
dead
too
men
had
resurrected.
dimensional fuckery.
Well, yeah, but it wasn't the basement. It was the basement.
Yeah. But still, 50-50. Anyway. So, right. So, Trixie goes in with fake Belthor, who can't talk, because the Astral Guardian can't talk. However, I don't think we've mentioned this. A lot of our party can use Dark Eye, because for some reason, the only people in Ravinin who have a official sign language that is large enough to be, like, standardized are the Dark Elves. They use it for military purposes.
Yeah.
And you know, that's wild. So the Astral Guardian just, you know, signs things. And then Belfor, Freya, and Co. So Lord's minions go in through the back door. And that's happening there. Clore gives them their weapons back and unbinds them for some god-awful reason. That's weird. But we have to pause on this story for now and teleport to the Leviver Guild. You see, Shune's all nervous about meeting the Leviver Guild because, you know, she has responsibility and shit, and she's like the equivalent of 16. They go. Wahid has the Demonomicon, and he didn't know he had the Demonomicon, and they're like, we'll just take this. And he's like, yeah, that book's following me around. Make sure it doesn't follow me around. That seems like a good idea. And someone goes to Shune and is like, Shune, I'm sorry. Your brother's been kidnapped. And Shune's reaction is, well, of course he was! And now she knows what's going on, because Belfor was kidnapped. She knows how to do this. So now we're going back to the sea now, because Shune may or may not be there, and by may or may not, I mean, is definitely there. We have 2 Shunes here. But we haven't found her.
Remember to call them our Shune and Evil Shune.
Or other Shune. Yeah. Guys, it's confusing. You're just gonna have to look at it. So we sneak in. There's a Belfor on either side of the room.
I do want to clarify. The very first time we spoke with or interacted with Evil Shune, I did in fact send with her name, the recipient being Evil Shune, and she not and
No, it was other Shune.
Why?
It was other Shune.
No, what's other Shune?
It was other Shune.
Either way, that is the thing.
Yeah. For some reason, no one suspects a thing, and that reason being that Dark Elf Society is in fact a soap opera.
Well,
Now,
we're an intelligence agency in a medieval setting.
yeah. And also, there's magic, so they can make sure they don't die.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird shit that goes on with magic too, which is one of the reasons why having a body double is not a big deal.
Yeah. It's a bit weird that, people are referring to the seamstress as the body double version of herself. That's kind of weird. But, whatever. Maybe she's trying to...
They don't know. That's from a position of knowledge that none of those people have. No.
Yeah.
Like, that just means that if there's a body double somewhere and there's a message to somebody that is specifically to a body double, that's kind of funny. But it's the sort of thing beggars would do.
Yeah.
It's like, by the way, I know how your thing is working, and I'm bringing that up briefly in this missive. It's their kind of thing. But the others don't realize that one of the Shuneis lives in the Senale, and the other Shune is the head of the guild. Or the head of the other guild. They just know that people occasionally have illusions or body doubles or things like that in these sorts of situations, and would know that that's a reference to one such body double.
Yeah. So we have two Belthors. Speaking of body doubles, we have two Belthors. Either side of the room.
Yeah, that's the kind of shit I'm talking about. That kind of thing goes on all the time.
And Belthor and Trixie, because they're on the same mind wavelength, immediately start bitching each other out for this horrible breakup.
Yeah.
Right? They start having this fake love crap.
Yeah.
Thor is not fooled. And he just takes both Belthors and other Shune and takes them back into the back room. Note, between this room and the back room is the room filled with, that has the altar that other Shune uses to summon the dragon. And it is surrounded by corpses. See, she needs me to make the permanent dragon, but a semi-permanent dragon can just, use any old dragon's blood. Dragonborn, dragon sorcerers, doesn't matter. She just means me specifically. So, she, Thor, and Belthor, and Belthor's body double are in the back room. And, Thor starts questioning us and trying to figure out who is who, so to try and confuse things, like which is which, Belthor starts making out with himself. And Thor's like, come on, guys! And, he does something to just, disperse the fake Belthor, and now, real Belthor is there going, God damn it. Then Belthor, or then Shune, looks at Belthor, who, remember, is armed again. He is not bound in any way. And she's like, go into the other room so I can sacrifice you to get the dragon. And he looks at her, and he looks at Thor, and he looks at the back door. And he says, no, and turns around and walks out.
Now, remember, for Shune, this is the only time that he has ever behaved in this way. Like, Shune, up to that moment, expected Belthor to very willingly just do what he was told and end up dead, and that was his job. That was his task, and if he wasn't, if he wasn't mad enough to take it, that was his problem. He could cry and whine about it while she cut his throat, but he wasn't going to resist her. He was going to do what she said. Which up until...
No, and then walked out the back door.
Yeah, which up until Belthor, ran off to get away from his mom, that's who Belthor had sort of been, especially as far as Shune was concerned.
Well, you see, here's the thing. Baby sister Shune is fantastic and wonderful, and would never murder Belthor.
Yeah.
Don't look at me like that. I saw that. See, the thing is, original Shune and Belthor were this team, and it was kind of them against the world, where they defended each other. But attempting to murder him is a violation of that teamwork. And also, he has another Shune at this point. So, you know. He's like, no, I'm not gonna let you murder me. That's stupid. So she's like, go and I'll sacrifice you. And he's like, no, I won't sacrifice. And she's like, no, you can't just say no.
Totally flabbergasted.
And he's like, oh, you think I can? She's like, I'll start murdering the people you like back at that C-Nail place. And he's like, oh, you sound just like Mom.
Which really pisses her off.
I suppose if you do that, I'm just gonna have to, like, I don't know, send assassins at you or something. And she's like, oh.
Yeah, at least I was gonna do it myself. Meanwhile, Flora's sitting back here eating popcorn, sipping the soap. Just like, go on. It's the funniest thing he's ever seen. These are two of the most powerful people on the continent in this situation right now. Like, one of them is in charge of the Seamstresses Guild, and there could be a battle any second to the death over who it is that's going to be in charge of this organization. And they're actually having this like childish ass sibling argument right out here in public, right in front of him. It's so funny.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Trixie has been spending all this time trying to get in the room, and she finally does. And Clore just looks over at her and is like, you have got to see this.
Yeah.
And then she comes over and just leans against him, and they just watch this terribly amused.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, our Shune is hiding in this room and watching this entire thing and having an existential crisis.
I think Trixie spotted her, but it was only Trixie that spotted her because she's a dark elf hiding in the dark using magic. It's sort of their deal.
And so finally, as Belfour's leaving, other Shune says, "And where are my guards?" And then Clore freezes. He's like, where are her guards?
Yeah. Now
And
that
he-
you mention it.
And he immediately goes into battle mode.
Yeah. He also detected the presence of divine magic.
Oh! Fuck, I forgot Freya's line in this entire bit. Okay, so Freya was on the other side of the room with Belthor before they went into the back room. Trixie obtained Freya and then handed Freya off to her auntie. But no actual relation. They made out at one point and swapped knowledge.
That's
Easter.
the model pride is what the title is. She's the head of the models, and she's also
She's back.
Yeah.
And we're like, hey, keep her safe with you. So that's where Freya is during this entire debacle. So Clore hears, where are my guards? Is like, where the fuck are her guards? And starts like signing rapidly. And is in full combat mode and just goes into the other room.
He starts signing to his party, his and Darkside with the only ever uses because it's the hand he uses to cast with as well. And he holds the sword that he's culturally not even supposed to have in the other hand.
And he's a badass. And he throws open the thing and looks around. And remember that wine bearer we mentioned? He says, "Hello. I suppose the jig is up." And turns into a demon.
This is Belthor's
Half-brother.
yeah, Belthor's half-fiend, half-brother that nobody believed really existed, but that there have been rumors about.
Yeah. So, Mom fucked a demon. No one's really all that surprised.
A long time ago.
Yeah. So now there's this demon who's trying to take over the Shattered Tower. We're like, well, fuck. So now that Belthor is not in the middle of being murdered, he doesn't actually want to kill Evil Shune unless he has to. Because, you know, he still has that whole, you know, thing. Pavlovian protection thing. And, so he's like, well, I guess I'm the Shadow Tower. Now we have to take a side step to talk about a module that you guys can probably play for if anyone who's actually watching this. Thud in the basement. Because you see, Thud is in the basement.
Yeah, that is
now,
in the basement.
We're not entirely sure how these characters got the quest. But in future things, you get the quest to retrieve it. And so we have 3 characters who are all part bard who went into the Shadow Realm to rescue Thud. I don't know how much more to describe on that. I do rather like them. Right? They're pretty fun characters. But it's already 10:30 at night.
Right.
So we have a little module to rescue Thud, who, by the way, now has a portion of himself forever trapped in the basement. So if he ever dies, we can just go retrieve him again.
Which means he's basically immortal.
Yeah.
He's now a god.
Kind of.
Lampay accidentally gave him all the prerequisites for becoming a god.
Yeah. So, Thud comes back. Also, the rest of the sea neighbors are here to rescue us. That's good, because a lot of them are dealing with monsters outside. The bards, who are like level 2, have been shooed away to Chancellor's Alley. And my character is very morose because she's a cleric who took 5 points of wisdom damage from opening a chest. It was bad. Normally, Lampay thinks that's hilarious. Can you hear me? That I took 5 points of wisdom damage from the chest. Powerful mental step is now just slightly above average. Let's see. So Thud's back, and Thud can help us fight this demon. Which he does, but bad. And it's very convoluted. I know the Sea Hermit ends up in there because her octopus has to hide in someone's back. Though she may have sent the octopus with tricks to the earlier. Okay, guys, this battle will be close with that. There was popcorn.
What do you mean? What are you talking about? Where was there an octopus?
Well, you see the demon spit acid.
What?
Okay. I specifically remember the demon spitting a line of acid, and the octopus being in the way, but being like, oh, I know what that is, and hiding in someone's bag.
Yeah. No.
I don't remember how the octopus got there.
No, I know. See, it's the Hermit's octopus. We're using the octopus to bind the actual version of Belfort.
Oh, okay.
It was the whole thing. We had one for the
yeah. So, other Shune is also fighting this demon. Our Shune is not, at least not currently. Belthor is also fighting him. Chlor goes upstairs. I don't know why he went upstairs. But apparently he had a battle up there too. Trixie uses the bag of magic beans again. And it creates giant corn in the cobs.
Yep,
yeah.
That did happen.
That did in fact happen.
I got the last hit. All sorts of shenanigans happened, but I got the last hit, and I was the one to kill the Cambrian guy.
Mm-hmm. Shale.
Yeah, but around before that, our Trixie walks in, our Shune walks in, and other Shune botches her perception check and does not notice.
Yeah.
And then Shune stabs the guy, or Trixie stabs the guy.
Yeah. And he died. And then, the battle is ending, discussing things.
Belflor looks at other Shune, notices she hasn't noticed his Shune, and is kind of distracted. Grabs Freya, walks straight at his Shune, grabs her, and they just walk out the back door. Immediately. No one noticed them.
Around and behind everything.
Yep.
As this is happening, he's like, where is Belflor?
It did happen, yeah. It was hilarious.
Oh no.
Not our time.
What did she say that resulted in me saying, I killed your brother for you?
What is happening?
Yeah. And I was like, I just killed your brother for you. She's like, Belflor? And I was like, no, the other one. She's like, what other brother? The one that was a demon.
I killed your brother, you're welcome!
Brother, you're welcome. You should be more grateful.
So I don't remember if Trixie is engaged with her Shune?
No. Other Shune reneged on her part of the deal because you didn't get killed.
I see. Well, me, Freya, and my Shune did this thing where me and Freya ran away from us pursuing Shune. And we're and she's like, get back here, Belflor! So the guards were all like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
And we just got away. We nat 20. It was great.
Yeah.
We got back to the scene. Right. And Tanith was taken in to the scene by Leos. He's like, well, we kicked his ass. I guess we're in prison again? And Belthor and Trixie start questioning him to get information. And Belthor starts sewing him an outfit, and Tanith's like, oh, you really are a tailor, aren't you? Because, I'm actually being ruthless and shit. Little does he know I'm actually feeling mercy, because remember, I'm down to kill my siblings, but they're also my siblings, so I'm not down to kill them. It's very complicated.
Yeah.
It has to be the right time. I can't just imprison him and then kill him. That's just not right. I don't know why it's not right. It just isn't. And so we tell him to go spy on Floor, and Trixie specifically tells him to take care of Floor. And then we end up having to go to Taya. Thud, I think. Oh, yes, that's right. So, the Thud that is in the basement has to get this mythical hammer of Orcsbane. No, that is an orc.
The vampire who stole the hammer from the dwarves gave us the hammer to give back to the dwarves.
He's actually the Shadow Planner duplicate of the vampire from White Plume Mountain. Setmir. His name is Setmir, and he stole that really important artifact hammer.
Yeah, of Orcsbane, who Thud, an orc, takes to deliver back to the dwarves, specifically the dwarves he knows, which are the ones, the male dwarves, as in mailman.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Gotta specify that. Because we have the male name. We really do gotta specify that.
I don't know if we mentioned this. Bud is from one of the greater guilds, like the Survivor Guild, which are de facto world power conglomerate guilds, and theirs is the largest mercenary force on the planet. He's part of their mail service.
Yeah.
And as we're traveling to Teok, we have a little side adventure with the minion characters. We built some minion characters specifically to be minions. And they had to go collect some of the talismans of sending that we have, that lets us keep in contact. And find a bunch of lost ones. Note, Miosha's missing, hers disappeared. It's very concerned. But we end up finding it. Miosha shows up, and she's like, next time tell Belthor to make sure that the strings are enchanted too, so they can't just be snatched off of us. So we find 3, and 2 of them have messages from Tanith, recorded with video. One has video, and the other has video and audio. It took him a while to figure that out.
We stole it.
Yeah, still the ocean. And in the first one, we see this kid fighting someone off the side of a cliff. I don't remember the details. It's been several months, unfortunately. But I think that kid had something to do with Beggar.
They think that that kid is probably like either an equivalent to what Trixie is, whatever that might be, because there's a couple of those little proteges running around. But there's rumors that that kid might actually be a full-on scion, like the Baker Queen is his grandma. I mean, hell, considering how old she is, that might be way back.
Yeah. And the second one, Okay. Here's some information. Unfortunately, I don't remember the information. What I do remember, specifically, unfortunately, we still have the recording, so, is, went to murder. This was a bad plan. Because, apparently, Chlor has resistance to whatever damage that, Tanith was using on him.
Chlor killed Tanith!
And Chlor spins around and is just pissed that, Tanith didn't think he had a backup plan.
Well, because...
And, pins
Tanith...
him to the ground with a sword.
Yeah, Tanith tried to use, energy, and Chlor is, by this point, notorious because of his stupid hat. Chlor is notorious for...
We didn't mention the stupid hat.
Oh, didn't you?
Yeah, Belthor loves the stupid hat. Because he knows for a fact that ridiculous stupid hat is only being worn by Chlor because Chlor wants acid resistance from Belthor in case Belthor tries to murder him.
Yeah, well, or Shuri.
Or Shuri.
Because the way that Chlor saw this going into it, one way or another, he was going to end up killing one of you.
Yeah.
Or one of you was going to wind up killing the other one, and he didn't want to be too close with the splash, literally the splash damage, or whatever. It was a wise precaution. But for Belthor's perspective in that moment, it was like, in order to kidnap me, you put on a hat that makes you look fucking ridiculous. Which in Belthor's mind is a huge deal, because Belthor's a tailor. But in Chlor's mind, it doesn't really matter how he looks, as long as it gets the job done. I mean, he'd rather not look like the idiot. But bakers can't be choosers. People who want their flesh to not be dissolved off of their bones.
Excuse me, us bakers can't be choosers. Picks and chooses all the time.
Yeah, that's true.
But, right, so... Tanith got his ass counter-murdered by Chlor. Now, they have recordings and they're like, well, I suppose we gotta kill Belthor. So, because Belthor has an amulet where they can communicate with each other, they're like, hey, Belthor. Tanith tried to murder Chlor, and Chlor just fucking murdered him back. And Belthor's just staring at the amulet. And there's tears on his face, and he's like, what? And passersby is like, are you crying acid? That's badass! And, so, Belthor's having issues. Yeah, feeling. See, the thing is, just to be clear, his friend, whom he hates, just murdered his brother, whom he also hates.
Yeah.
This is very confusing.
So, he superimposed over the, one of the, things, something that Chlor had been working on. So Chlor, was at the ziggurat and wanted to keep people from finding out whatever it was that he found out, which is why he carved his name over the top of the mural in the wall. It wasn't just because he wanted people to know that he'd been there. It was because he didn't want other people to know what it had shown. And then Tanith figured out what Chlor was up to and tried to give people a hint by superimposing an image in the over Chlor making some kind of discovery somewhere when Tanith was traveling with him.
It looks like he's still talking, but I cannot hear him.
That's because, look, you just expect it to be in real time, and it's not.
Are you watching the stream, Shara?
Well, I am, and there's a lag, but like I waited several seconds, and his mouth was still moving, and I'm like, and see, the thing is, he was like cutting in and out before that, and that puts me on edge.
Anyway, we're almost finished.
We are almost caught up. which is amazing. We thought it would take much longer than this.
Go on.
But we did skip a lot.
We did. We skipped the. Guys, this is a highlight reel. So Belthor's having emotions, but he's ignoring those emotions. And then we get to Teo. And the first thing we see upon getting to Teo is a rather large woman, a half-orc woman, surrounded by a bunch of children.
But well.
Yep. And she has them marching in orderly fashion. They go in a semicircle. She yells out, "Where's my boy?" And this is Thud's mother. Thud's mother is named Matron Erg, and she is amazing.
Yeah.
Belthor thinks that she is the model of, like, ideal motherhood, because, you know, she's so kind to her children.
Well, at
Belthor
least she doesn't
straight
up kill them. In fact, she stops a lot of them from killing each other.
And she warns them before she throws them out of windows.
Yeah. Well, they're like... Yeah.
You can't raise a proper orc.
Yeah, you kind of have to, because orcs, the orcish people are, they're not really that bright necessarily, but they are very, very, very good at fighting, and they're very, very strong, and so they have this tendency to be fighting, and like if they get carried away, there'll be bloodshed, like for real, and if you have to be very careful to discipline them. Which is also sort of a shadow for how the Kirin War Guild deals with the Orkesh in general, which is that they impose discipline upon the orcs in order to not only keep the orcs under control, but it also stops the orcs from killing each other, which they otherwise have a tendency to do. They were well known for having a bloodthirsty honor culture in the past, because for them, like, proving one's physical strength up to and including killing possible rivals was just part of how life was lived. That was a very important part of their heritage. But orcs are also like, they just understand weapons on principle, and are better at weapon training than the other races are. They're not as long-lived as anybody else, so like the humans, they also pick up things very quickly, but the Orkesh aren't even as long-lived as humans, and so they pick up a lot of certain things even faster. And violence is definitely on that list. So if you don't have somebody around all the time that's being like, "Hey," then, you know, they'll regret killing each other. It's not like they would be happy about it, but they'll definitely kill each other, you know, in the heat of the moment.
So, yeah, it's awesome. We tell her all sorts of stories about our adventures. I knit her a tapestry of Thud kicking the shit out of that Kraken. Because, you know, that was badass. When she's making the kids, like, you know, clean, you just, like, add some probably citric acid to some of their cleaning water. You know, just by sticking his hand in and stirring it around. Yeah. And then the next day, we know that eventually there's going to be this giant tug-of-war thing.
Oh,
it's a very big deal.
Yeah, that's true.
But we had to have a meeting beforehand. And so we went to talk with, you know, the Dwarven Guild, and they're like, "Hey, maybe you should invite the people from the Dragon Guild over here." So me and Bud went to, you know, invite the dragons over there, you know, where it's cooler, right? Problem. Do you remember those cards that Thud drew? The one about how there was going to be someone who hates him irrationally, and also there would be a dragon to be an obstacle in his path.
Well, it happens that both parties decided to fly to this dragon in particular.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of dragons are very difficult to control with things like this. Even one of these more advanced and powerful chaos curses. So it was just easier to have it all focus on the same target. It was a good place.
And also because this guy's hilarious. He sees Thud and he's like, oh, it feels like I'm being put as an obstacle in someone's path. What? Oh, no shit, it's a chaos curse. Oh, and it seems like I hate you irrationally for no reason. 2 chaos curses? And everyone's like, shit, how do we solve this?
Because he's technically the head of the guild. So not only is he strong enough to eventually kill just about any of these player characters, but also if the Sea Nail kills him because he's the head of the Kirin War Guild, he's one of the guild masters, then it'll be a huge diplomatic disaster.
Oh yeah.
And this is technically Thud's boss. So he's got to fight his own boss.
Yeah, and he solves it by pinning said dragon.
That should not have worked. I could not believe that worked.
But it did.
Yeah. Thud started wrestling the dragon. Meanwhile, Trixie and Shunei are running over to this particular balcony, and Shunei's boy toy, by the way, while we were spending time with Matron Oak, Shunei was like, maybe I'm not going to stay with her. And instead went and fucked the tiefling, who also has a very high rank in guild.
Yeah, and he's sketchy in some way that we aren't fully understanding of, but he's some sort of suspicious. And
he's a tiefling.
And there's definitely a fling there, but there's also, subterfuge there.
Yeah.
Classic Dark Elf.
Yeah, a dark elf sleeping with a tiefling, because it's one of the few couplings that. Why do you keep? Well,
no, sorry. I was cuddling with Cameron and Carly, and I got up, and now I'm not cuddling with them, and it was very warm, but they didn't hear me when I said it the first time, so I repeated it. Unfortunately, that means you guys have to deal with that bullshit.
All right, now
continue.
There's a dragon.
Yes, there was a dragon. You were saying that tieflings and dark elves are similar, probably because their ancestors fucked very powerful beings.
Well, it's the kind of thing you come to expect. So if there's somebody that's dark, mysterious, and you can't really trust, it's the tiefling and or the dark elves. So they might as well be sleeping together.
Yeah. And by the way, the reason that Shunei and Trixie were back on that, had to rush to the balcony with the dragons, is because Trixie was grilling Shunei on her choice in men.
Shunei has not been very forward about the whole thing, but some of the stuff that happened while she was in hell sort of it screwed up the way that she thinks about sexuality, because the entity that was keeping her encapsulated just stimulated her whole body all the time in order to keep her alive. It wasn't designed for dark elves specifically. And so it just kept her in a state of suspended animation. And so she was in a constant state of being fed, in a constant state of defecation, and of course a constant state of sexual euphoria. It also kept her sinuses perfectly clear at all times and stuff like that. It's just what that did to her psychologically, though, after she came out of it is a big problem for her, which of course other Shunei has never experienced. This happened also when they were talking with Thank you for your time. Like, comment, subscribe, and share.